Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Radyo Kapwa on CKUT 90.3 FM. And you guess it, this is Veronica speaking because I'm always excited to host and I'm always excited.
Always.
I can't even finish my sentence.
I love
But
it.
I love it when the mic is on me and I have my own mic, so no one can take it out from me too.
Vero's the example of taking space. Like I look at Vero and I'm like, man, I wish I had a fraction
Seriously.
of that, you know? I wish. But also like you're an example. So it's great.
Yeah, I
Take up
mean,
space. Take it up. Take it up, Vero.
you
It makes
know,
us want to go, hey, my turn.
yeah, I'm just like, the mic's done. Is the mic done? You remember when we went to POP and I'm just like, the mic.
Nobody's using the mic. Well, now I am.
My turn, you know? And then people were like, oh, it's Vero. So give the mic, you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, so for today's broadcast, we were actually racking our brain a bit to see what would be a good conversation, you know, that a lot of people may not necessarily been around with to hear this type of conversation. And June is coming. So
Mhm.
not only that, Canada is going to be celebrating Filipinos and trigger warning, how good we are and how hard worker we are,
How submissive.
which, it's, I can't even say it, but like, it's just, we're made to think that that's great descriptor of who we are, that we're resilient, but we didn't have a choice. Did we have a choice? We didn't, because we have been surviving in this type of economy that is not natural to us, right? But anyway, we're going off topic again because
No,
again, no
and
one
then when
can
we
take off, no one can take out my mic from me.
No, we
But
were made to be like resilient and be told that we were this strong, can do everything and anything type of person until we broke down and then we were crazy.
yeah,
So it's like, and then we don't get recognized for mental health in our communities
mm-hmm.
until San Capua for me. But
Mm.
so it's like, yeah, we're made to be that. And then where's our out?
Yeah,
Where's our when do we get to rest? Instead of like I know during COVID they were saying, oh, the healthcare workers are our angels, and then didn't give them more pay.
F
You know what I
off,
mean? So it's like,
fuck off.
you they call us all these things to flatter us, but like we
Yeah,
have to see past that now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And mind you, one of the, rest in peace, but one of the first, if not the first, deaths of healthcare worker is Filipina.
Mhm.
And I think that really is the one that radicalized me because I was finishing my school at that time, political science. And I just knew, we're known to be healthcare workers. And just a simple, like, Googling, you'll see that Canada has always been having crisis in terms of healthcare. And we are the number one producer of healthcare workers in the world next to Cuba. Cuba is the one who produced the most doctors, but Filipinos are the one who produce the most healthcare workers,
Mhm.
specifically nurses.
BAB.
But exactly, but because they don't recognize this nursing degrees, but mind you, getting a nursing degree in the Philippines, there's a layer of it. It's you have to be able to work in public hospital for 2 years to be able to actually be eligible to leave the country and be recognized. And then when they leave the country and go to another country, let's say like Germany or like Canada, they're like, oh, but you're according to the equivalency, you're still missing like 2 years worth of university. I'm just like, bro, at elementary, we were doing algebra.
So we get deprofessionalized and they lie to us.
Exactly. And I'm just like, we were doing skeletal system, muscular system, grade 2, grade 3. So that's, I'm just like, it's what my mom said was like, yo, people here are kind of stupid.
I've heard that a lot. Yeah, I've just heard that a lot.
And then they would point out, I'm like, oh, well, Asians are always smart. And so I was like, we didn't have a choice because even though we have like PhD and double PhD, y'all will still not recognize us because why? There is a sense of insecurity on their part,
Yeah.
right? That Canada's whole education system is really oriented to make money. And that's why there's a crisis right now in terms of limiting international students, right? Because the schools will not function, will not operate if they capped the number of international students coming in here in Canada. And what that means is in a broader perspective of economy, what's happening is that Canada est en train de, tu sais, exporter l'éducation. That's what's happening. You know how in the Philippines we're exporting literal like laborers, and they are like people are going to Canada and get education in here, and they would come back in their pays d'origine and then be like, oh, moi, je suis éduqué au Canada.
Oh, I see.
And then they use that as a leverage. And Canada knows this. Canada knows this so freaking much. Mark Miller was like, oh, a lot of these private colleges, right? They ask for like 20K, 30K, 40K for like a vocational program. And Mark Miller was like, oh, but like, where's our cut? Meaning like, where's Canada's cut for this? Because the only people who's making money out of these international students are private colleges that can be owned by you and me.
Wow. I didn't actually know that.
Yes. You know, we're here specifically in Quebec, we're so used to the fact that education is public.
Yeah.
Even like our university is like public, right? But that's not necessarily the same thing for other provinces, right? And even private colleges, because I went to a private college for my paralegal school. Yeah, we've had international students, and we already know this. They pay so much more than us, right?
Yeah, they do.
And so a lot of colleges, a lot of universities are going under if they cut this number of international students coming in here. You know, and there is this pathway in Canada for international students during Trudeau time that if you come in here as a student, then you can use that as your Canadian experience, and that you can use that in the future to apply for PR. So what's happening is that Canada needs young people, right? They need young people to be able to tax them, because we're also we're aging population, right? And we need people who's able-bodied to be able to keep on taxing them. That's why we were okay having refugees, because then they get to work in PAB.
Yeah, they work and they tax.
And then they get taxed. And then do they have access to this government programming? Not the same way as we have access to. They can't go to school. They pay taxes, and then those taxes goes to my education that they cannot access.
Wow.
Is that fair or not?
No.
You know? And for those who are still listening, because I'm basically ranting at this point, I do work in immigration, so I hella know what I'm doing. And I also have a degree in political science. So just to let you all know.
Have you ever heard of the book Coming Full Circle by Tita Leni Strobel?
I heard about it so many times. I'm trying to get the ebook version of it. But
I have it. You can borrow it. But just going back to the education system, and you were talking about Filipino nurses and teachers, because a lot of Filipinos started off as teachers and then nurses and then now caregivers. And this book by Tita Leni Mendoza Strobel, basically she talks about how we were colonized by the States through the education system.
Yes.
After World War II, because they needed more teachers and nurses. So they said, oh, let's send teachers to the countries that we own and tell them, oh, you need to go into nursing.
Wow.
And it was just so, because my mom is a nurse, retired nurse. And, there was pride. And I understand, I had a certain upbringing because my mom was a nurse and was able to practice and use her degree when she came here. But reading this book made me see things so differently.
Yeah.
Like, bref, the school system is so messed up, right? It's all a game. It's all to control people, like back then and even today. So what this book explains is that, again, the states needed something. There was a lack of. So they colonized through the education system, saying, you need to be a nurse, you need to be a nurse, you need to get an education. And it's a less harmful way, I guess, of colonization, right? It's through education. So some would probably argue.
But it's manipulation.
It's manipulation, 100%.
Yeah.
But then what ended up happening, so everyone and anyone went to become nurses and doctors and teachers. And then what happened a few years later, Bill 101 happened, and they cut, Vero can confirm, like they cut the entrance of anyone with a degree because there was too many nurses and too many teachers that were coming into the country, right? And then if you came after, I don't know the exact year, but in the 80s, even if you had the degrees, you had to come in as a domestic. Like my cousin came in 1990. She had a master's in psychology. She had to go through the caregiver program. Now she's a nurse, but she had to redo her whole education.
Wow.
Yeah, but just think about it. It's like, what do we need? Right? What do we need? We're going to manipulate the systems that we control.
Yeah, that we built
to get what we need.
You know?
Then it's like, and then we brainwash people into believing this is going to get you a better life.
Yeah.
And then at one point, the people in control say, no, don't need it anymore. Let's take it away.
Yeah.
And so
that's
messed up going to what your
it's
point
heartbreaking.
is.
It's heartbreaking to hear it, because I always say, like, les gens non éduqués sont plus faciles à manipuler, right?
C'est ça.
And coming back to what you're talking about, Des, in terms of our education, is actually set up by the states. The whole governing system of the Philippines is set up by the states, you know, because Spain did not believe in us. That's why they didn't even teach us Spanish, right? Only for those who in a specific social class can speak, you know, Spanish. You know, and an education in the Philippines is highly, highly, highly commodified. You notice the similarities of how education here in Canada, à part Quebec, because Quebec had its own progressive views, is highly commodified, which is why at this moment on, Canada is en train de exporter l'éducation canadienne. You know, and it sucks to see it, because our community value education a lot, but you know, like, they're pawning their land, they're pawning their houses in dans la campagne and such to be able to, like, have a nursing degree.
Yeah, they're pushing their kids towards futures they don't want.
Exactly. You would think that we would have a surplus of nurses back home, but the Philippines is one of the country that has the least nurses per capita. Can you imagine? We are the #1 exporter of nurses, but we do not have nurses of our own.
For real?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Same thing for
Yes.
bananas, no? We get like grade C bananas when we make grade A bananas.
That's correct.
We
Yes.
export grade A bananas, but we only have grade C bananas.
Can you imagine my
Wow.
horror? You know, like, back in the day where you watch, like, how it's made in the TV. And so what I would do is I would just watch how things are made, right?
Yeah.
And then there's this time where there's, like, a plantation of, I believe it's either mango or pineapple. And I just knew it was in the Philippines. It was by either Del Monte or Dole. And then they were just, like, casually saying, like, oh yeah, it's en train de trier, you know, like, which one's good and which one's not, visibly looking good, visibly looking bad, and such. And all of the grade A, it says, oh yeah, this one is export quality. So it grows on our land. It's being tilled by our own people, and we can't even eat that. Can you?
It's not ours. It's like, how, you know, like, we're a commodity in this whole system. We're used as pawns, our things, our land, our people.
Last night, I was just thinking of the mere fact that what would have been Philippines if we, you know, colonize, right? Like, we mananakop, right?
If we did colonization, if we colonized others.
Exactly. But the thing is, we didn't need to. Because if you think about why other people, like, before capitalism was mercantilism,
they needed something.
We
had everything we needed.
Had everything. The land provides. We were so, you know, Filipinos use the word contento na ako sa buhay ko. Like, and then the rough translation is that I'm satisfied of my life.
Yeah.
And people make fun of having a mere satisfaction of just being by the seaside and then eating mango and snacking.
The life.
You know? And people are like, oh, ano ba naman yan? Ang daming, like, there's so much abundance of things that you can do and you're not making money out of it. You're not capitalizing off it. If you're not capitalizing on your resources, they think you're stupid.
Yeah.
When in reality, we respect our nature enough not to force making avocado all year round. It horrifies me when people were like, I'm having avocado toast during wintertime. Us Filipinos, we respect the cycle of harvesting so much that we know specifically if it's corn harvesting.
When it's the season.
Like, you know, lanzones and such. Like, everyone freaks out, like chestnuts and such.
Yeah.
Because we don't force the land to provide. we are merely co-living with the environment.
Nature. Yeah, we're living with nature. We're not taking advantage of nature. We're living amongst nature. It's not our thing to control. It's a part of us. If nature dies, we die.
Exactly.
And it's the value of nature and the earth versus value of money. And where does money even come from? You know, like
money is a modern invention.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about the timeline of humanity, money is a modern invention that was created by people who don't look like you and me. They are foreign to our lands. Our communities have been trading with other like island neighborings, like all the way to Palestine. Mind you, we have connection with Palestine way before Israel is a thing. Way before. You know how we know this? It's because of the way we speak. Our language, c'est bourré là, c'est bourré des mots arabiques.
C'est vrai, il y en a.
So I always tell people that Manila or like Luzon is the New York of the Asia back in the day. Because let's say like the Luzon and Taiwan area, right? Because it's a tropical area. And then it's in the Pacific Ocean, right? It's not in the different side of the world where the ocean is like rough. On l'appelle ça Pacifique parce que c'est Pacifique, right? You know, it's like calm, right? So so it's easier.
Yeah.
Like it's for the ships, the merchants to pass by our routes. The route where West Philippine Sea is coming from is the third busiest naval route of this world.
Wow.
And it's crucial for global trading. That is why China is trying to take over that space.
Yeah.
That water. And they started creating artificial land for that. And it's horrifying, again, the lack of care of the nature.
Yeah.
And us Filipinos, we're animists, right?
Yeah.
Tout le monde ici, toutes les choses qu'on voit ici, c'est animé. So,
il a une vie.
Exactly. Because animist in English, maybe people will not get it, but like en français, tu sais, chacun, c'est animé, right?
Yeah.
And so we think of natures as someone or something that has a soul within itself.
Yes.
And that is why we never really needed to go to Europe.
We never really needed to colonize anyone.
They needed something from us.
And that's why they came.
They needed our mangoes. They needed our pineapples. They needed our bananas.
Yeah.
You know, like they didn't have that. And that's the reason why they left.
Yeah.
You know, like why would, if you love your country so much, if you love your motherland so much, pourquoi partir? Right? That's my question.
Sûr. And the dream is always to go back, right? The dream is always to go back, always to provide for back home. And so I don't think we ever create a full life in the place where we land, because we're always thinking about back home.
Yeah. And my thoughts like last night was just like because I'm planning to go for a vacation. Today is actually the 17th year that I've been here in Canada, and I haven't been home since. I came here when I was 11, so I have been here longer than I have been back home.
Damn.
And so I have like the Google tracker for flight tickets and such, and bon, ça commence.
Ça commence. Does it make you nervous a little bit, but also like a little excited?
No, même pas. Like ticket-wise, like ça commence à entrer à 3,000.
Ben là, non, moi j'ai booké like for December. Like I have my tickets booked already, and I have it for 2,100. So hopefully you can find something close.
It's a 2,800, 2,700 now.
Oh, déjà.
Yeah. And so, and we're not even halfway. We're not even halfway done with the year, and already just to go and be back in the homeland. Imagine, let's say it's $3,000, right? How much is that in pesos?
Yeah.
And
just to go back home.
Just to go back to where we belong, right?
Yeah.
And then if you think about the reason why we had to leave, we didn't have a choice, because we were younger. And it's all of this modern values, modern systems,
Western values
that is not innate in our land.
No.
You know,
but we force it on ourselves so much. Like our older generation, they force it on themselves so much. And I think that's survival, but at the same time, it like, ça nuit à la génération future, ou ça fait genre radicaliser la génération future, because because we can't live like this anymore. We can't live watching you kill yourself to maybe get a chance to go back home. When white people go out and work, they work for the home that they're able to access.
Yeah.
How come us no? How come us we can't hug our parents, hug our grandparents, see our family, and actually bond with them and feel like we have our family as our family? Like they feel more like distant friends.
Yeah. We never did, because we inherited this generational trauma, right? That like you need to stabilize yourself first before doing all of this.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like our white peers, counterpart, Anglo-Saxon counterpart, they never inherited that type of trauma of like constantly destabilized.
Yeah.
Right. We're not constantly thinking about the fact that we might get evicted of the place that we're living because they own their houses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you need to keep on saving up in case okazu. And I don't think that this is strictly a Filipino thing. I think it's strictly an immigrant thing.
It's an immigrant thing.
We don't have a generational wealth.
No, we don't have generational wealth. So we have to work to get to take care of ourselves, to take care of our parents on top of that.
Because we don't have a social net, right? Like, c'est pas comme si on va envoyer nos parents en CHSLD. That's just, no, I will not.
No.
And I will not do that, which is ironic because CHSLD, là, c'est aussi bourré des immigrants, c'est aussi bourré des Philippines qui travaillent là-bas.
Yeah.
But on n'ose pas envoyer nos parents là-bas. For sure.
Yeah.
It just goes to show how much, all of these jobs, we're like going full circles all around and jumbled up. I don't know how people can follow us, but it's just so painful to see that they have taken our caregivers, those who provide care. So teachers, nurses, nurse aides, anything, all of the actions where you provide care, that was taken away from us. And that is why our parents don't have a care to provide to their own children. But if they're paid for it, they're good at it. And so it is enraging for them to hear. They're like, oh, the person who took care of my mom in the hospital was a Filipino. I'm just like,
it's like, thank you. She didn't have time to be home with me.
And provide the same thing.
Exactly.
Like, des fois, ça fait penser, est-ce que si je paye ma mère,
peut-être elle va
the same
yes.
rate.
Is she gonna spend time? Am I gonna have time to spend with her?
No.
Oh my freaking goodness! I felt this for so long. Like, like during COVID, I wrote a song about it. Like, I was like, what am I supposed to do if all I want is more time with you? Yeah. That's all I want. I'm not looking to have the best things in the world. I'm not looking for you to pay my education through. Like, I'm not looking for you to work so hard that I'm able to have this whatever future. I just want to spend time with you. Yeah. And I can't because you're always working.
Yeah. I always tell people that time is priceless, right? You cannot put a price in time because it depends on how people spend their time. And for us immigrants, all we want to do is have time with our parents because time you can never go back.
Yeah.
Right. And so speaking of immigration experiences, just like what Des was talking about earlier in terms of like, I have a master's degree in psychology, but have to start.
Have to restart.
As a domestic worker because those are racist policies under the guise of like, we're just helping you out. See, after 2 years working as domestic worker, you can apply for a PR.
There are ways to keep us down.
Yeah. And then they have like Canada is the one who had like the point system in order for you to become a permanent resident. If you're at this age, more points. If you have children, more points. If you have this degree, more points. Mais tu peux pas utiliser ton degré, ton bac.
C'est ça. Yo, there are ways to keep us down, and it makes me think about all the people who are like, oh, les immigrants, ils prennent toutes nos jobs, da 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 da. Bro, we're set back like fucking crazy before we're able to take your stupid job, dude.
Mais aller travailler au CHSLD, vas-y.
Yeah.
Aller au ferme. I don't know, like.
But it's like unfair to say like imagine if they did allow us to come in with our professional with our professional
background. Yes.
Professional background. Wouldn't they be mad? Wouldn't they be mad that we would be excelling compared to them,
yeah,
like of course they're gonna want to fucking keep us down.
But if what say, like protectionism tariffs, right? Let's say like a product, like let's say a Filipino made, Filipino brand car, and we produce it so well that we're exporting it, right? Oh, let's think about Huawei, okay? Because this is a real thing.
Yeah.
Huawei is so good with their products that U.S. Trump had to cut it off and be like, no, and then say like, oh, it's because everything that is in China is owned by the Communist Party.
But that they're spying on you or whatever.
Exactly. But like, I mean, Zuckerberg is listening to us. The FBI is listening to us. I don't know what else to tell you, but everything that we say online can be traced to us.
It's like nobody should be spying on you unless it's us, your own government.
Exactly.
And unless it's us in our ways to control you. We're taking away TikTok because we don't want you to take, like, information is shared on TikTok. For real, like it might seem like a stupid app, but sometimes you actually see legit things. Like we Filipinos, like there wouldn't be this much of us like trying to find our roots if we didn't talk about how weird we felt on TikTok.
Yep.
Like, so now we're becoming woke and the government hates that.
Yeah. Which is hilarious because they go on to our country and be like, if you go to our country, there's freedom, right? But like freedom to who?
Yeah. Freedom to who? Freedom for you and service from us.
Exactly.
Like society built on our backs so that you can relax.
Yep.
When we don't know relaxation. And back to like the destabilization of like, I'm in the fucking second generation of my family and we're still trying to find stability.
Yeah. Because we're coming in, we're entering to this country already in the red.
Yeah.
Because then again, you already borrowed so much money back home just to be able to freaking afford the tickets.
Yeah. And then mind you, when people come here, Filipinos, a lot of them lack financial literacy. And then what? Like it then becomes a cycle of debt. It becomes a cycle of debt. It becomes a cycle of not speaking about money and acting like you have it. And then keeping up this appearance to the Philippines that it's actually so nice here when you know it's all a lie and you don't want to break their dreams.
Yeah.
And then the expectation from the Philippines of, hey, you're making money now. Where's our cut? How are you going to pay for the family because you're making so much money now? When everything's a facade, a lie on a lie on a lie that we felt like we had no choice but to do.
This is an illusion that was ingrained into us to have this type of colonized mentality of to have this, what would other people say, and to have a sense of accomplishments. When white people, their definition of accomplishment is being satisfied of their life. I like my job, I have a car, I eat well, I go home, and that's what we've all been longing for. But apparently in our colonized mindset, you haven't made it if you don't have a degree. You haven't made it if you don't have a car. You haven't made it if you haven't had a house. You haven't made it because your children still did not finish school. You haven't, like, qui a décidé que pour être successful, que tu dois avoir tout ça? C'est pas nous. Ça vient pas de nous. So it's very much our mentality is being skewed, and our own community is perpetuating these detrimental ideas into us, because when they don't tell their family back home that like, actually I'm pulling in like OT all the time, then they just have an illusion that things are going in well in here, and therefore I can ask for more money, more and more and more. And because Filipinos do not like to feel vulnerable, they don't say that I can't give you anymore. And then they would lie. They would be like, oh yeah, job's well, I got promoted, etc., etc.
Yeah, oh, the money's coming,
Exactly.
and
then
it's like
you found out that they're like buried in debt in here, plus buried debt at home as well. And so it's, again, that notion of like Filipinos are so madiskarte, like they're very resourceful. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice but to be resourceful, or else we'll literally starve. But coming back to like protectionism of like a physical thing, right? A material, Huawei. They came in here and then they were like, okay, tariff. So imagine our labor is the same thing. Filipinos coming in here, instead of providing a product like a telephone, we provide ourselves. And so they have a protection of tariff as well against us Filipinos, against other immigrants who are highly educated, so that the local community here will not feel threatened. The same way that, Huawei was banned, because if not, Apple will not thrive.
Yeah.
Because Apple is supposedly like a US made, right? So think about it this way. People who come in with double degrees, triple degrees, and they come in here, they are a threat to the academics. They are a threat to the professionals in Canada here.
Yeah.
And that is why they added these layers of racist policies, so that they can have super high quality immigrant doing casier at Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
And they continue on destabilizing our pays d'origine, right? Mining companies are always present back home.
Yes.
And that would mean that where my dad lives, I think I've already said it like online already, way before. When he saw Lafarge, he was horrified. He was like, we saw the Lafarge like at Desiree, and he's just like, ay, putang ina. And I'm just like, whoa. Like he had like a very like physical reaction. Like he was mad. Il est en colère là. Because it's the same company in his hometown that polluted the land, that they can no longer grow their own crops. So they need to go to a bigger city to be able to afford produce. And if they couldn't find any more job, if they're farmers, then where do I farm?
Yeah.
So
how do I provide for my family? Like, in many ways, like harvesting wise for food, or selling for money to take care of like schooling, and like it takes away an entire livelihood over and over.
Full circle, right? Because then they go to bigger city, they couldn't find a job, and they were told, if you just suck it up and become domestic worker for 2 years, you cannot apply for PR and then can sponsor everyone. Right? And that sounds like a good deal. You're like, you know what? If you just suck it up for 2 years, it means if you just put your head down for 2 years. And this is once again perpetuating us being submissive. These policies reinforce this model minority myth, this keep your head down and don't rattle the cage. And I think hearing people like us speak like this, that threatens them a lot.
Yeah.
Going to protest, going to free Palestine, that for them is like, oof, mais on peut plus, tu sais, contrôler, manipuler ces gens.
And when they don't know what to do, they use the physical violence. They threaten you and they threaten you. And when we don't budge, they use physical violence. They feel like they have no choice because they don't want to join the revolution, but it's going to fucking change. And they're going to have to see it happen.
I have a firm belief that we will see it happen in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just me. I'm being political science nerd, but like, it's cracking a lot.
Yeah.
I can see the crack more and more now.
Access to true information, like media was controlled by
just a corporation.
Five different huge corporations that whatever they wanted to push, if they agreed on something, they could push it.
Yep.
And we could be lied to, like milk from cows being our milk, like the food chain, the food pyramid, like those are things that are fake. So like they could influence us as much as they wanted, but now the internet exists. Now the future generation, the generation after us and mine and the millennials and whoever like started looking into the internet and was like, hey, we can find all our information here and share it and cross-reference and learn. We're finding out, and the truth was going to come out anyway. It was always going to come out.
That's why they banned TikTok, because TikTok is a platform where you can exchange so much ideas. And obviously, c'est bourré also of like misinformation. But like, si t'es tombé dans le algorithm that like provides you of what you've been consuming, it's either a good thing or a bad thing. So like, you need to also implant to people to think critically. And I think that because we have been living like a zombie in a sense of like always just surviving, we weren't able to enhance critical thinking.
Yeah. Because we're like on autopilot on a constant. We have to be working, we have to be going to school, and then what time is there left? Going to sleep and doing the same thing over tomorrow so I can take care of my family.
Well, you forgot you have to do OT because rent just went up.
Exactly. And then you have to do OT because rent just went up. So, yeah, I think that's going to be the end of this conversation. There is so much more to talk about, and we're going to talk about it more. Honestly, I feel like we should have more of these conversations cuz it's real, you know? The media was controlled before, but now the people have the power, and we got to take advantage of how this car is driving, this plane is moving, this horse is riding, like it's moving, and they're not going to be able to fight us in numbers and in truth.
Yeah, it's true. Before we close, I just wanted to hear Des's
She just came
opinion
back.
and perspective of like
I'm back. I'm back.
not to point out your generation, but you're more of like an in the generation that is like before us, and so hearing us talk about this and talking about how younger generations are even more like rah rah, we got this. Like I feel like we're in the good hands. Like this people who grew up watching Hunger Games are not backing down, and I'm all for it. I am all for it. I'm just like, what do you need? Coffee? What do you need? Milk? Ice cream? I'll get it for you. You know, I have adult money now. I'll get it. You know, like
I
like
was just
they.
talking to I was just talking to a friend today about this. We were just talking about I mean, she's younger than me, so yes, I am born in the 70s. And so we were just talking about, because she runs a store, and she was like talking about how it's hard to find staff and like her issues with like the staff. And she was like, you know, on one end, because there's such high turnover, and she's like, on one end, I'm really happy that the youth have boundaries and they know exactly what they want and they're outspoken, because when I was growing up, I kept my head down. You know, like babies of the 70s, the 80s,
Yeah.
the 90s, we kept our head down. We
Yeah.
didn't speak up. We didn't ask for what we wanted. We literally sucked it up, right? And so to be part of Centre Capwa, to be really like surrounded by the youth and to feel this feeling, like to relive or to live this feeling that I never experienced, right? Is really inspiring. Yes, going to your point, Vero, it is very, very inspiring. And it's even more inspiring because my 10-year-old, my kid, is modeling all of the youth. So thank you, you know, and I think it's great. And I think it's about freaking time, you know, and I really, really feel the ancestors speaking. It's like, again, we weren't dormant, but a lot of us were dormant, right? A lot of us were dormant because of fear, because we weren't encouraged to speak up. We were told to keep our heads down and be
there was
quiet,
no
be that
access
model man.
too.
There was no
Yep.
access. There was no representation. We didn't have any. I mean, there was no Asians or like barely even brunettes on screen when I was younger.
Yeah. And that's what you did for us to be able to move the way that we do.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
you didn't have representation. You kept your head down, and you were like eventually you were probably like, why? And then you were like, well, I knew how I grew up, and I don't want my kids to grow up like that. And I don't want my niece or my cousin to grow up like that. And maybe I could be
The representation that we were looking for when we were younger.
what we were lacking.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, we're all helping each other out. But yes, to your point, Vero, very, very inspiring. So if for any of the youth listening or non-youth, anybody listening, it's like encourage our Kapwa to use their voice. Encourage the youth to speak up. Just because I always say this in conversations, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Just because you don't understand the person doesn't mean it's wrong. Try to open up, because again, my generation, we weren't taught critical thinking the same way that the youth is taught critical thinking, the same way my 10-year-old is taught critical thinking. Like how my daughter's speaking up, like I only learned how to speak up like that in my 30s. Do you know what I mean? So think about it. It's like, so I'm not shaming anybody. I'm not blaming anybody, but I will be more compassionate to those friends of mine that are my age that maybe don't see things a certain way. Again, I choose to be as compassionate and patient as possible, because again, we're all just freaking trying our best, and we're all seeing things differently. So ending this conversation with
Yes.
encourage each other to speak up, encourage each other to take up space.
Yeah.
Because the system is so screwed up. Bref.
Period.
Yeah. It's stuck
Mic
against
drop.
us.
Yeah, mic drop.
That's a great way to sum up the conversation.
My
Thank you
Yeah.
all for listening to this conversation. I hope you took something from it. And again, whatever calls to you, you take, and whatever doesn't, you let go of. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Wednesday. We'll come back on next Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. Have a great day. Mabuhay!
Mabuhay!
Gusto ko nang matulog. 4,000 tupan ay grupo-grupo ko na. 4,000 hayop, kada hayop na galing sa arko ni Noah. Gusto ko nang matulog. Diyahe sa umagang mayulenteng magising, at sayang ang kaping mayat mayay naubos na sa kakasagi. Diyahe sa umagang siguradong kay ganda, pero di na ko asang ako'y kakalma para matulog. At gusto ko na ang matulog. Gusto ko nang matulog. Tama ng iyak. Pagkising ko nito, sigurado tunaw ang kilay ko, kakatago lang matang namumugto. At pigilan ko man, buburi lang tayo. Punit ang abot ng thesis ko, takte, napakamahal kaya ang paserox. Kaya te-offer dun sa Kalayaan College, ang layo pa ng UP, bawi lang sa pamasahe. Iyak lang ako sa jeep, nakakaya sa katabi, at kagat ng labing natatanggal unti-unti. Punyeta talaga. Gusto ko nang matulog. Tama ng iyak. Pero kung di man ako iyak, ay sasabog lang ako. Baka masunog ang bahay ko, tulog pa si Grace Nono. At kung di man ako sasabog, ay kailangan kong tumakbo hanggang sa paderang kaharap ko. Dahil gusto kong makaramdam ng malalim na pakiramdam ng buhalang puwersang pwede kong gantihan ng lahat ng akin ding nararamdaman, ng lahat ng akin ding nararamdaman. Lahat ng beses na di ko nasabi ang gustong sabihin, lahat ng beses na di ko ginawa ang gustong gawin, lahat ng pagkakataong di ko nailigtas ang mundo, lahat ng pagkakataong di ko maipinta ang araw mo. Gusto kitang maging masaya. Gusto kitang maging masaya. Tama na, nagpapalipas lang ng mga araw. Wala pang usap-usap, tama na tong iyak. Di ko alam, hindi ko alam kung ano ang nangyari. Gustuin ko mang matulog. Ayokong matulog kung bukas di ka na maligaya. Gusto lang kitang maging maligaya. Sa balat nitong buong sang maliwanag, ang nag-iisang mukhang nakikita ko lang ay ang mukha mo. Mukha mong maganda. Ganda.
ok, salut à tous. On retourne, nous sommes le mercredi 12 juin 2024. Vous écoutez à Radio Kapwa sur 90.3 CKUT et moi, je m'appelle Fendi Cristo. And we just had a little musical break, but it's time for some news about the homeland. John Marvin Reyes is still on vacation, enjoying the sunny skies and eating some tapas in Barcelona. So I'll be filling in and asking the question, anong balita sa Pilipinas? Unfortunately, it's not all sunny skies and vacation weather like Barcelona. And what I'm saying is habagat will prevail in most parts of the Philippines. The southwest monsoon, locally known as habagat, will prevail in most parts of the archipelago while bringing overcast skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms all throughout the day, the state-run weather agency said on Thursday. Weather specialist Alzar Aurelio of the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, also known as PAGASA, said, however, that they have not monitored any tropical cyclone or low pressure areas entering the country's area of responsibility at least until over the weekend. In particular, habagat, the warm moist wind from the southwest that causes rains especially over the western portion of the country, particularly from May to September, is affecting Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, and Quezon, and Mimaropa, Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, and Palawan. Now, the same weather system is bringing cloudy skies with scattered downpours and thunderstorms over Ilocos Region, Cordillera Administrative Region, Zambales, Bataan, Tarlac, Pampanga, Bulacan, Zamboanga Peninsula, Basilan, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, and Western Visayas, the Pagasa forecaster said. He reiterated that the southwest monsoon was expected to prevail in most areas in the country in the coming days. On one hand, the rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to overcast skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms due to the localized thunderstorms, the State Weather Bureau said. And this article was written by Arlie O. Kalalo and published on June 6, 2024 in the Manila Times. And that's your weekly dose of Philippine news from Radio Kapwa. We're going to go back to another musical break, then get into the community announcements, but with a twist. Normally, I talk about what's going on locally, but Vero wanted to do it this episode. So we will be back with Vero after some ill Filipino X tunes. So turn your volume up, vibe out, and get ready for the community announcements. Peace out.
dala ng ihip ng hangin. Tila gumaganda ng lalong mga rosas. Sabay, sabay silang sumasayaw sa hampas ng hangin. Dumadampi at bumubulong sa'yo. Naririnig mo ba ang bulong ng puso ko? Binubulong ng hangin. Tila ngumingiti ang araw sa umaga. Mga paro-paro'y naglalaro sa hampas ng hangin. Dumadampi at bumubulong sa'yo. Naririnig mo ba ang bulong ng puso ko? Binubulong ng hangin. Sana nga ito ay marinig. Binubulong ng hangin ang laman nitong dibdib. Binubulong ng hangin. Naririnig mo ba ang bulong ng puso ko? Binubulong ng hangin.
Bonjour, Montreal. This is Fenny Cristo, and if you are just tuning in after the music break, you are listening to Radio Kapwa on 90.3 FM CKUT. It's that time once again for the community announcements, but I'm going to be passing it off to Vero, so welcome her to the mic.
Hi everyone, I'm back. This is Veronica speaking, bringing you community announcement that's been going to be happening for the next few weeks. So is your agenda open? Because this Friday, June 14, from 1 to 3 p.m. at Café Refuge Le Château at 1003 Rue King East, Sherbrooke. Is some quality connection with a feline long overdue? Join Vent Over Tea at Sherbrooke's Cat Cafe to spend time with cats and like-minded individuals. If you've been wanting to check out Refuge Le Chateau but never found a reason to go, now is your chance. Bring your friends or come alone to enjoy beverages, cuddles, and quality conversations. What should you be expecting? There's over 10 cats and kittens available to play, pet, and cuddle with. There are going to be meeting with other cat lovers, group discussions, and one-on-one conversations and beverage. With a donation of any amount to the cafe, you will receive a drink of your choice, such as their flavored lattes or mochas. To register, check out their Instagram page at Vent Over Tea. And every Monday evenings, Ami Quebec is providing an online young adult support group that will give you a safe space to talk to people who understand what you're growing to. This is a new support group for anyone ages 18 to 30 years old who is struggling with mental health or who cares about someone who is. This will be a dedicated space for young people to help them navigate the unique challenges that today's youth face. For more information, visit their Instagram page at Ami Quebec. Check out also their website for the registration link. Up next is every Sundays from roughly 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Park Mackenzie between the two willow trees beside the basketball court facing the football field. Catch Aklatan Go by our Kapwa Dayan and their mini Filipino mobile library with books and zines serving the community in Cotanesh and beyond. June 16, Sunday at Fee Center, support DJ Honeybun or Hello Honeybun for their first time ever opening for Kalitechnis, one of their favorite artists. For more information, visit their Instagram page at Hello Honeybun. For the upcoming events, starting June 20 and for the next upcoming 3 Thursdays, join Jen Maramba and JL Creator for a collective virtual gathering to reflect, practice, and unlearn and remember what it means to decolonize violence as a pathway to protect sacred. Led by social activists and community healers JL Umipig and Jen Maramba, this resistance training for the body, mind, and spirit will empower you to dismantle oppressive systems and reclaim our shared ancestral power. Together, we will gather for 3 transformative sessions on Thursday, June 20th, 27, and July 4 from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time to cultivate resilience, heal ancestral wounds, and foster a sense of unity in the face of advocacy. June 21st, Friday at Bar Le Ritz, Lovers Boulevard presents Glowchella, an open format dance party. Come join DJs Honeybun at Hello Honeybun and Givenchy at Givenchy for an open format dance party. There are current bangers, throwback hits, remixes, global and cross-genre sounds. For more information, visit their Instagram pages at Lovers Boulevard, that is spelled LVRSBLVD_, Hello Honeybun, and Givenchy. Then, June 27 at Chez Mado from 8 p.m., the 5th edition of Olala fundraising by special drag queens for Maison du Parc. It's a non-profit organization that welcomes people living with HIV, men and women. So purchase your ticket by checking out their Instagram at Maniverse and at Chez Mado. And that's it for me. So if you got excited hearing my voice or you're tired of hearing my voice, you still got me. So that's it. I'll see you for the next one.
Merci, Vero, for all of that. I definitely heard some events I want to go to, and I hope our listeners did too. Unfortunately, the community announcement segment also signals that we are at the end of our show. So, to our beautiful audience, enjoy the week, and we will catch y'all again on the flip side next Wednesday on 90.3 FM CKUT. Signing out from Radio Kapwa, this has been Feni Cristo. Peace and mabuhay.